Okay, so you've got your G2, possibly your G3, maybe even your G1 that's got Windows 10, and you want to upgrade to Windows 11. But if you ever go to check for updates, it's always saying this thing, the get ready for Windows 11. And maybe on your new laptops and your new other stuff, there's always a, hey, would you like to have Windows 11 and, all ready to go? And you're wondering why it's not prompting you for that on your units. Or maybe it works, let's say, on your G4 or G5, etc. So we're going to go over today two things. One that we can definitely fix. The other, we're going to see if, based on Microsoft's steps, if we can actually still do the upgrade. We just won't be using the same Windows update here. But again, we'll be following Windows or Microsoft's recommendations. So the first thing we want to do is when you go to this check hardware requirements, there's a choice off of there to download the PC Health evaluator. Let's see, what is it called? PC Health Check. So if I go in there on this particular unit and then it says introducing Windows 11, check now, I click, oh, bummer. Two things it doesn't like. One, it doesn't like that the TPM 2.0 must be supported and enabled on this PC, and the processor isn't supported. Well, we can take care of number one. Number two, of course, we're on a G2. There's really no way for us to get a different processor on there. Now, ironically, this exact same machine, when I do a full install of Windows 11 Pro, so I don't do an upgrade, no problem whatsoever, goes right in and I can do everything. I'm actually running this particular video capture and video editing on a G2 65 watt. I've been using it forever and no problems whatsoever. So, but we want to show what we can do for an upgrade so we don't lose all our stuff. So that's what we'll try today. So one of the first things we're going to need to find out is a little bit more about our current TPM setting. So we want to go right click, go to System, type in TPM, go to Device Security, and sometimes when you come up here, it will have something like something to do with nothing to do with, like you can't find anything about security processor. Wait a little bit, and then the screen will refresh itself. Go into here to security processor details. Right away, we see that the specification is 1.2. We want it to be 2.0. And then this manufacturer version is important. So in our particular case, it's 6.43. Sometimes I think it'll go all the way back down to 6.40. I think that's what I had on a G1, maybe 641. But make a note of that so you remember. So then what we're going to need to do is download an update from HP. Okay, so what I found is I'll type in EliteDesk 800 TPM update. And then I'll scroll down to where it's this whole thing about the TPM config, Windows 10 anniversary. And it lists all the various models. It talks about the G3, G1, G2. Scroll. Talks about the different ways that you can move. You can go from 1.2 to 2.0 and back and forth and so forth. What I did on this machine for this demonstration is I went backwards to the 6.43 from the 2.0. And you can do that, I think, 64 times. So if you're experimenting, you got a lot that you can play with. Okay, keep going down till we find the actual link. We click on here, open file, yes, next. All this is going to do is an extract. Okay. What we want to do at this point is we'll kind of keep this up here. We want to launch the command and we want to run it as admin. Okay, we want to go off the C drive and it's in a folder called SW setup. Then we want to do CD into SP8 81900. Okay. This directory just has the actual exes that do the work, but what we're mostly interested is we want to look down in the firmware folder. So go down to firmware, and you see all the different combinations. Now, if memory serves, when I was going through and I had an older version than 6.43, I ended up having to do a kind of a leapfrog. So as example, I may have had, I don't know, 6.40. So I had to go from 6.40 to 6.43, and then from 6.43 up to the latest TPM, 7.62. So just kind of keep that in mind. But what we want to do is we want to copy it back up to that folder above us. So I'm looking for a copy. I'm going to TPM 126.43. I think there's just one of them. Okay. And I want to go to that latest, It's going to go up there. Okay. Because when you run the utility, it's going to look for whatever bin file is in that folder. So you only want to have one. So we're going to run the TPM config 64 because, it's a 64-bit operating system. Tells you how many remaining updates. I've done this a couple times, so that's why the thing. It's telling you where it's going to come from 1.2, the version, to 2.0, and the 7.62. So I'm going to, I've read and I agree. I'm going to say next. And now it's going to restart. Okay, it's going to come up to this. You're going to have to say F1 saying yes, it's okay. And then it should come up with another screen that actually is going to do the firmware upgrade or the TPM upgrade. Here it is. Relatively quick. And of course, don't shut off anything. It's going to do a countdown. I'm just going to click OK just to speed along a little bit. I've done this same process also with the upgrade using like the Win2Go. I was doing that earlier, but I wanted, and you probably would have to do that if you wanted, let's say all you had was, I don't know, a totally fresh machine, that you just bought off of eBay or wherever, and you're trying to get everything installed. But then again, I guess, I guess you'd still want to do that even if you're going to be putting Windows 11. But I did the install of Windows 11 Pro, and it was still on TPM 1.2, and it didn't complain at all, and it just went through. So, and again, it's on this G2. So, okay, now we're back in. Let's go see how that changed everything. Let's go into System, type in TPM. Okay, we go down into our security processor. Look, now we're at 2.0, and of course we've also upgraded the manufacturer version. So we're looking pretty good. If I run the PC health, let's see what it says now. I do check now. Okay, still complaining about the processor. So it's not going to do the whole, hey, I've got Windows 11 for you. Would you like to upgrade things? So we're going to have to instead follow a process that Microsoft has outlined. So Microsoft has this ways to install Windows 11. And this is talking about other ways to install Windows 11, especially on, quote, unsupported devices, which we all know it does work, but, you know, we'll go with what they say. So this talks about using this installation assistant, and that when you set that up, I'm going to look to see if we still have to do this registry key. Let's see, bypass the check for TPM and the CPU family and model. Let's see what happens when we first try the this upgrade and see whether it's going to balk at us or whether we have to go back and do this. I prefer to keep it as simple and natural as possible. Okay, so we're supposed to go to the software download page and select Create Tool Now. Okay, looking at the instructions, it looks like we create the media and then we run setup while media is still connected and we're in Windows 10. That should allow us to be able to keep our files. So let's do the USB flash drive. I'm going to stick one in and we'll try that out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I can see it. Okay, so next. And this is probably going to take a little bit, so we'll come back to it. It goes through kind of two stages. So it kind of seems to start over when it does this creating Windows 11 media. But anyway, the progress seems to restart at 0. Okay, looks like the drive is finished. Okay. Now, let's see if we can, it says that we can, we launch the setup from the media, and then we can do a full upgrade, keep data only, or clean install. Keeps personal files, apps. Oh, okay, I guess that's what we want. We'll see if we have to do this with the registry. So let's first try it and see what happens, and otherwise we'll come back and do those. Okay, so setup, run. Install Windows. Okay, all right, next. Okay, processor isn't supported. Okay, so this sounds like we're going to have to make those registry changes. Let me close this. And okay, so let's go back up here. All right, so what we want to do is we want to look for registry editor, and we want to run it as admin. We want to look for HKey local machine system setup, and then we want to create, say, new key, and it looks like it's supposed to be called Mo setup. Okay, so down here I'm going to type in MO setup. So here's Mo setup. Oh, interesting. Tracking. Huh. I could have sworn I didn't see it there before. Okay. Well, if it's not there when you go into setup, Mo setup, create it. But now we do want to create this key. Maybe what it is I was trying before, and maybe it created it when we actually ran that installer before. So we go in here, We'll say new, double word. We'll paste in that name, double click on it, give it a value of 1. Okay, let's come out of here. Let's go back in. Let's run setup again. Let's see what happens now. Okay. Next. All right. Restarting Windows 11 setup. Okay. Okay, now it actually seems to be doing something. Checking your PC. I kind of moved everything out of the way. Okay, getting a few things ready. All right, this is good. I'm going to accept. I guess with that registry setting, technically didn't have to change the TPM, but I think you might as well. It's not like it's, hurting anything. And then that way you're all set to go with your later stuff. If, let's say later on, Microsoft were to say, oh, well, we're not going to allow updates if your TPM isn't at least a 2.0. So at least that one's taken care of. Obviously, the changing the processor couldn't have been fixed. And then conceivably the same process would work also with G3. I assume G1. I'm pretty sure that I installed Windows 11 on there, but I may be thinking more along the lines of maybe I did it as a virtual machine. Seems to be a little stuck here at 46%, but I guess we'll kind of see. Now, I went with pretty much a fresh install of Windows 10 to do this test, and I didn't go through and add a bunch of updates and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, it may be that it needs to get to a newer version of Windows 10 first, but that's up to you. If you may possibly have better luck if you first make sure that your Windows 10 is as fresh as possible before trying this process. So here we get the warning, and yes, I understand that what I'm doing is against policy, blah blah blah. So we'll say accept. Making sure we've got enough space. Yes, okay. We want to keep the personal files and apps. Okay, and nicely it already knows that it's going to do Windows 11 Pro, so I don't, because obviously I'm coming from Windows 10 Pro. Okay, so let's go install. Okay, I guess we'll let this run and I'll check in as important stuff is shown. It's been about maybe 15 minutes. I haven't been totally keeping track, but just to kind of give you a rough idea. I think it all depends, of course, on your network speed and the speed of your, if you got make sure you've got, was it a USB 3 type of thumb drive. I think you're going to get better results than if you use one of the older 2.0s. And now it's doing its usual updates. Now we're getting the usual hi, getting everything ready for you. This may take a little bit, so we're getting close. Well, folks, that looks like Windows 11. If I don't, and I had some stuff that I had installed on it prior to it. Let's see, it should have the HP support assistant that was already there. Let's see, we were using the PC health check, and that's still there. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Let's see, what else should we, I guess we could look at the check for updates. No updates right now, but looking pretty good. Let's see, device manager, any issues here? Nope. Looks good. So I think we could call that a success. And I didn't think it. I had pretty good faith that it would go through, considering that I could do a fresh install and without any difficulty. But this way, maybe then you can save yourself all that trouble of reinstalling, Office or all your cool apps or whatever it is that you have, set up. You just bring them on over to Windows 11 Pro. So, I guess that's the other thing we can double check. I can't imagine it wouldn't. Where does it show? We'll go to System. Yep, Windows 11 Pro. Product key. It's activated. So yeah, we're looking good. And just in case you're wondering, yep, the Windows update works just like it normally would. So yeah, I obviously Microsoft is going to set its standards as far as memory and CPUs and so forth, but at least they allow you to say, okay, I understand the risks and still go through with it.